Hello, this is a quick preview of the edit functionality coming to the Configures Data UI. So immediately, just to kick this off, is I'm going to create a new deployment using the simple namespace blueprint. And it is going to be called deployment 3, or actually rather, I'm sorry, backend 3. So let's go ahead and create this. And up to now, this is same as the previous demo, is we can see that a deployment has been created. It's in the draft lifecycle, which means we can make changes, and we can go across on all the resources and view the information about the resources. If we click on resource quota, we can see that there's 40 CPU set, 40 gigabytes of memory. Let's go ahead and make a quick update to this. If we click on the edit, and this is purely for demonstration basis, but I'm going to break the resource quota. So I'm going to go to compute resources, and let's set the CPU request to -20, just so we break it. Let's see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to propose it. Let's say I'm a platform admin looking at this change. I go through, I don't happen to catch that CPU set to -20. So let's go ahead and improve this. So right now, this revision's published, and I'm going to go ahead and create a sync. And what this is going to do behind the scenes is using config sync is going to sync all these resources within this deployment to the cluster. So we're going to give it a short moment. So as it syncs let's talk about a couple other changes real quick. Is within the breadcrumbs and the title of the package, we can see that the revision is now more prominent than before. Previously, we would just list out the name of the deployment or blueprint if we were in a blueprint, but now we also list out the revisions. So we can see that we're revision B1. Likewise, there's a new revisions tab, so we can see all the revisions that exist for this particular package, a deployment. In this case, we just have the single revision that we happen to be in, B1. So the sync is completed. Not too much of a surprise here, as we can see that there's an error with the value of -20 for the resource quota that we updated. And essentially, the request CPU, it has to be a positive number. So let's go ahead and fix this. Is if we click on create a new revision, it's going to create a revision V2. It's going to be in draft life cycle, which means we can make changes. Likewise, we can see that it's listed in the revisions tab. And we can see there's a little bit of an indicator here to indicate that there's a draft package. So let's go ahead and edit this package. And we're going to go ahead and correct the resource quota. So let's set this to, okay, for that negative was a mistake. I actually meant for that to be 20 CPUs. And since we're at it, let's use 20 gigabytes of memory as well. Just go ahead and save that. We're going to go ahead and save the draft as well, save the changes so we can see, okay, we now have 20 CPU, 20 gigabytes of memory. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and propose the package. And before I approve the package, let's jump back to view all the deployments within the repository. Here we can see a couple things. First off, we can see that the sync is currently broken, just because the sync is using the latest published revision, which is V1, which has the -20 for CPUs. So that's invalid. And we can also see that there's an indicator here. It's a different icon just because it's a proposed deployment right now. So essentially, we have a visual indicator, meaning that we have a proposed deployment for backend 3. So if we click on the indicator itself or the icon, it's going to take us immediately to the proposed deployment. If we go back and we just click on the row, it's going to take us to the published revision, which is the one with the invalid request CPU. So we're going to back up. I'm going to click on the indicator or the icon. It's going to take us to V2. It's proposed. So I'm a platform admin. Let's review it. I click on resource quota. I can see, okay, 20 CPUs. That looks good. That corrects the error that we've seen. 20 gigabytes of memory. That's acceptable as well. And I'm going to go ahead and approve the changes. Since we had a sync deployed, it's going to re-update to use the latest published revision. So since this is approved, V2 is approved, it's now published. The sync is, or config sync is updating its sync to use to sync the resources within this revision, and we can now see that all the resources have been synced successfully. So it has picked up the change um, to use a positive number of CPUs. Now, reviewing this, I stepped through this quickly. Obviously, it'll be extremely more helpful if we showed a diff, so if we knew what resources were left untouched from the previous revision, what resources were updated. In this case, it would have been only a resource quota. If there was any resources removed, added, there was none. So it'll be helpful to have all that information. That is going to be one of the items I'll be working on next. So I'll be coming very soon to the configure data UI, as far as showing what lines or what actually changed. So right now that's missing, but that's going to be coming soon. But anyways, this is a quick demo of the edit functionality. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.